So today we're going to be working on solving equations with variables on both sides. So our notes are right here for you. Step 1 is we're going to box the variables and draw the line down the equal sign just as we've done before. Step 2, we're going to get your variable on one side and the number on the other side. And so when you're getting like terms together and you must move a number over the line, we're going to go ahead and do the opposite operation just like we've done before. So we're either going to have to add or subtract. And that even goes for the variables as well, to move them from one side to the other. We're going to add or subtract them. And then we're going to go ahead and solve by multiplying or dividing. So pause your video or check your notes to go ahead and write these down. So our first problem is 9m plus 2 equals 4m minus 18. So I'm going to go ahead and box my variables. 2 m's. I'm going to draw a line down my equal sign. Okay. Now I need to go ahead and move my variables to one side and my numbers to the other. It really doesn't matter which way I go. I can move my variables over here if I want, or I can move them over here, and I can have my numbers over here if I want, or I can have my numbers over there. It's easier if we go ahead and make sure more positives are there. Once we start having more negatives, it gets a little more complicated. So I'm going to move mine so that there is, I guess, a little more positives, you could say. So I'm going to go ahead and do minus 4m first. And it's a positive 4m, so that's why I'm subtracting it. So whatever I do to that side, I'm going to do to this side. And then 9m minus 4m is 5m. Bring down my plus 2. And over here I'm left with my minus 18. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and move my 2 over here so that I have a variable on one side and then my number on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 2 to get over there, leaving me 5m over here. And then negative 18 minus 2, I'm going to be adding the opposite, so I come up with negative 20. Now I have my variable along with the number, so I'm going to divide by 5, and I get m is equal to negative 4. So I also need to go ahead and check to see if this works. And to check these, I'm going to go ahead and plug my negative 4 into both sides. And both sides should be equal in the end. So let's go ahead and we have 9 times negative 4 plus 2 is equal to 4 times negative 4 minus 18. So go ahead and multiply first. 9 times negative 4 is negative 36. Bring down my 2 equals. Go ahead and multiply here. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. And bring down my minus 18. So for this side, then I do negative 36 plus 2 is going to go ahead and be negative 34. And for this side, negative 16 minus 18, I'm going to add my opposite. Okay, and then I get negative 34. So I can see that both match. If they don't match, that means I probably have an incorrect answer here, and I need to go back and check my work. Go ahead and try the next one. Negative 15 plus 6b equals negative 8b plus 13. So I'm going to go ahead and box my variables. I have b's on both sides. Go ahead and draw a line right down the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and decide which way I'm going to go ahead and move. I have a negative 8b over here and a positive over here. So I'm going to move this negative over here so it's a little easier to work with my positive. So I'm going to do plus 8b because there's a negative there. I'm going to add 8b on both sides. 6b plus 8b is 14b. Bring down my negative 15 plus. And then this is gone, cancels each other out, leaving me with 13. Let's go ahead and move my 15 over here now. So it's a negative 15, so I'm going to add 15 to cancel it out, leaving me with 14b. And the 13 plus 15 is 28. Now I can go ahead and divide by my 14 over here, leaving me with b by itself. And 28 divided by 14 is 2. 14 goes into 28 twice. So I have a value of b equals 2. Let's go ahead and plug it in to see if it works. Negative 15 plus 6 times 2 is equal to negative 8 times 2 plus 13. So I go ahead and do the multiplication first. So negative 15 plus 12 is equal to negative 16 plus 13. Negative 15 plus 12, I go ahead and get 3, and that is negative 3. And then negative 16 plus 13 is also negative 3. So those match, which means B equals 2 works. Okay. This scale can also come in handy when we go ahead and do these word problems. So I'm going to go ahead and do a first one for you. It says, Beth leaves home on her bike, riding at a steady rate of 8 miles per hour. Her brother Ted leaves home on his bike half an hour later. He rides at a steady rate of 12 miles per hour. How long after Beth leaves home will Ted catch up? So the way to go ahead and do these is I'm going to have information about Beth on one side, and I'm going to have information about Ted on the other side. Okay? And they should, once he catches up to her, they will have traveled the same amount of distance. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and let's put a B over here for Beth. Okay? That's going to be Beth's information. And so we know that Beth leaves home on her bike riding at a steady rate of 8 miles per hour. Let's go ahead and put an 8 there. Okay. Her brother leaves home on his bike half an hour later. Let's go ahead and put Ted over here. Put a T for Ted. He rides at a steady rate of 12 miles per hour. Let's put Ted at 12 miles per hour. And then how long after Beth leaves home will Ted catch up? Okay? So we know they're going to go ahead and ride the same amount of distance, so that's going to be their equal. Whatever distance she rides is the same as he rides. So this side is definitely going to equal this side. Okay? Now Beth takes off and rides for a certain amount of time. We're not sure how long yet. So let's go ahead and put a X for how long Beth rides. Okay? We know that Ted rides half an hour less. So Ted would ride whatever Beth does, which is X, minus half an hour. Okay? So 8 miles per hour for a certain amount of time is going to equal 12 miles per hour for a certain amount of time, but minus that half hour, because he rode a half hour less. Okay? So now that I have my equation set, I can go ahead and solve it. First thing I need to do is go ahead and distribute it. So I have 12x, and then 12 times negative half would be, so half of 12 is 6. So now I have 8x is equal to 12x minus 6. I can go ahead and move my variables to the correct side, to one side. So I'm going to go ahead, let's put a line down the middle here too. So I'm going to do over here, I'm going to do 12x minus 12x. I'm going to do minus 12x as well. Okay. This leaves me with negative 4x. Okay. And then this side is minus 6. Let's go ahead and get rid of my negative 4. Okay. And then we leave us with x is equal to, and we have negative 6 divided by negative 4. Okay. So negative 4 goes into negative 6 one time. Okay. We then have a half left as well. Okay. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So we get an answer of x is equal to 1.5 hours. Okay. Let's go ahead and check to see if this works. So we have Beth travels at 8 miles per hour, okay, and she travels for an hour and a half. So we're going to do 8 times 1.5 hours. 8 miles per hour times 1.5 hours. 8 times 1 is 8, and then 8 times half is 4, and that gets me 12 miles. Okay, so let's see if this is the same answer for Ted. Hopefully Ted will have traveled 12 miles as well. Okay. So let's go ahead and plug it in. 12, and then x is equal to 1.5. Subtract half. Okay. We do what's in parentheses first. 1.5 minus half is 1. And then 12 times 1 is equal to 12. So he travels 12 miles as well. Again, we said that both of them should have traveled the same amount of time, so 12 miles. Okay. So that will work. Let's go back to our question though. How long after Beth leaves home will Ted catch up? Okay? So it took Beth. Beth rode for an hour and a half. Okay? Ted actually rides for an hour. So our answer to how long after Beth leaves home will Ted catch up is 1.5 hours. Alright, so you guys then had some practice problems to go ahead and try. Your first one is 4x plus 4 equals 2x plus 36. If you go ahead and solve it for x, you get x equals 16. And then if you go ahead and solve both sides, you should get 68 on both sides. 49 minus 3m equals 4m plus 14. You should have gotten 5 is what equals to m. And then if you enter 5 in, you should get 34 equals both sides. And lastly, we had a problem very similar to our bike riding one. We had two cars leaving, one at 50 miles per hour and the other at 60 miles per hour. And then it's how long after car A leaves Easttown will car B catch up. Okay? So we have car A driving at 50 miles per hour and it drives for a certain amount of time. And then we have car B driving at 60 miles per hour and they drive 1 hour less than what car A does. So that's why we have the x minus 1. And then if we go ahead and solve for x, we'd find out that x is equal to 6. So that would be my 6 hours. And if I plug 6 hours into both of A and B, I would get about 300 miles there. Okay. So my question of how long after car A leaves Easttown will car B catch up? The answer is 6 hours.